Time to begin our first mission. Hey everyone, welcome to Princess Gay. I'm your host, Connie, and today we are here with my blind reaction to episode 6 of Undead Unluck. So last time we really got to meet the Union, really got to meet them. We got to be introduced to the Round Table and get to see kind of how they work and what their goals are. And so now this time, we're going to be heading out on our first mission. Andy has chosen to take himself, Fuko, and Shen, who's the one who brought them in and, gave them the idea of joining the Union. On this first mission, it's an exceptionally dangerous mission, and Andy took it because it's like, oh, take these tougher missions, we can rise in the ranks easier. Yeah, I get it. And at the end there, we saw that they took care of another negator, I guess, or at least ability user person. Someone who is basically a living suit of clothing. And although they took over Shen's assistant, is that the word you would use for her? Eventually they attach themselves to Andy, and it seems to be a match that's just going ahead right now. I kind of asked the question last time as well. Can they leave Andy if Andy doesn't pass out? We know that they'll heal themselves along with Andy's body and everything with his normal powers, his negation powers, when that happens. But unless Andy passes out, can they just not leave him? And so are they kind of just stuck with him? Because they don't seem to be too happy about the situation. So I'm just kind of wondering. But I'm very interested to see how this mission goes. There's something about zombies or something wandering around. So I'm kind of curious about that. Can someone negate death? I guess that would be a possibility. But that almost would come across as just people rising from the dead, more, I don't know, Jesus Christ style, not zombie style. You know what I mean? They'd actually be people again rather than zombies. But I don't know. Maybe we'll get all the details. Probably will. But yeah, this is a mission, so I'm wondering how many episodes this is going to last. This is just going to be this episode, is going to be 2, or maybe even more. I don't know. And so this one, I wonder if we're also going to find out what Shen's abilities are, because we actually don't technically know yet. That's been kept a secret from us, which I also think is why Andy chose to bring him along, because he wants to know as well what Shen's abilities actually are. So I'm interested. I am definitely interested to see where this goes, and I'm hoping to enjoy this as much as I have been. Apparently, and I saw this in the comments of a reaction that I watched to this from your boy Roshi. Apparently, this is where the series truly starts, and everything before this is considered the weakest part of the series. Which, mind you, is entirely subjective, but if that is the weakest part of the series, then that is a huge amount of hope I am being given right now. Because if that part of the series is considered weak comparatively, this could be insanely amazing. Because I think those first 5 episodes were great. Actively really good. So if that's supposed to be weak, I can't even imagine how good this is going to get. I feel like that would be people calling the first few episodes of Hell's Paradise prior to them arriving on the island weak. It's like there was nothing weak about those episodes. But if you're talking comparatively, you're saying that they're weak compared to everything else. It's like, oh, well, that's going to just make me more excited. Because that means that this is going to get insanely amazing. And, I mean, mind you, Hell's Paradise did. But I guess at this point, let's just find out. Let's just see where this goes from here. So, when the screen fades to black, pause this redirect and go to the description below. Follow the link to the reaction, and after you watch it, come back here to the redirect and resume play. Because after fades to black and then fades back in, everything from that point forward will be my afterthoughts and will contain spoilers to the episode. So, that being said, thank you so much for tuning in, and I'll see you at the reaction. And we are back, and we'll begin with spoilers in 3, 2, 1, now. So I think anybody who's ever watched really any piece of zombie media, or, you know, in terms of games, played it, I think everybody who's ever seen zombie media has always wondered the question, are the people still in there? Like, is their consciousness still there, watching and seeing what their bodies do, just unable to, you know, stop it or reach out through speech or whatever else? And there's a lot of, you know, thoughts regarding that entire kind of thing. And it's rarely ever touched on, because why would it be? It's not a concept that movies, shows, excuse me, games really delve into a lot. But this series went there and showed that, at least in this situation with this UMA, the zombification process, even once the body starts rotting and turning, is a gradual thing. That it happens over time. It starts by rotting the body. The mind soon follows after, but it does take time. And that after being zombified, they can still have that consciousness holding on. And we see that through, I'm going to call her the bride. We see that at first through the bride, shown as she's the only one in that area at that time who ducks, as Andy requested. And then because of his own zombification, he's able to understand her. She's like, I'll take you to Spoil on the condition that you and I get married, and saying it's always been her dream, which Andy understands because of his own decomposition at that point. And I like that he asks Fuko's permission. And this kind of goes in line with him also asking Shen if they could be turned back before he actually starts attacking them and everything. If there's a possibility to save these people first. It continues to show that Andy does have a sense of morality and that he is a good guy. But we also see his crazy side at the same time in this episode, when after he learns that they can't be turned back, he just blasts right through them, because at that point it's like there's no saving them anyway. Why bother stopping, you know? Why bother worrying about it at that point? But he made sure before he would do so. And you have to appreciate that. And so you see, this zombie girl, the bride, gets to live out her dream. She gets to wear a wedding dress. She gets to look beautiful at the altar. And it doesn't need to be finished. The ceremony doesn't need to go all the way through because she already felt special. She achieved her dream, getting to stand at that altar with someone and feel like the most beautiful, important girl in the world. This is, I don't know, like, off the top of my head if it is the saddest, but it's definitely up there. This is at least one of the saddest zombie uh, moments in a piece of zombie media I've seen. I mean, obviously there's, like, Train to Busan, the ending to that. It's like, yeah, that's very sad. But it's like, that's from a different perspective, to be fair. That's from someone who's becoming a zombie and chooses to sacrifice himself to keep his daughter safe. This is someone who's already a zombie, already done for, which, mind you, is similar to what he was going through in Train to Busan there. Just instead of like a self-sacrifice, though, this was her wanting to just live out her final dream. Before her consciousness was gone for good, she just wanted to feel that special and that loved. She wanted to feel, again, like the most beautiful girl in the world. And she got to. She got to feel that. And in return, she revealed that the altar itself basically was spoil. And with the help of her and other zombies who still had consciousness to them, as well as more that are now coming in, Andy is putting an end to this sad story. He's giving the townsfolk one last win, one last salvation before they're gone for good, before he, let's be honest, is going to put them out of their misery. And it's just like, Jesus. I was not prepared for this today. I was not prepared to cry about zombies today. And don't get me wrong, I'm a very emotional person. I tend to be very empathetic to the point where, yeah, I'm one of those people who always wonder who the zombies were when they were alive. Whenever I watch a piece of zombie media and it shows like a zombie, it's like I'm always looking at them like, who were they when they were alive? What did they do? What was their dreams, their aspirations, their loves? Who were they? And it always makes me sad. And it's just something that I just instantly think of when I see them. It's not like a conscious choice. But it always makes me feel very sad for the zombies. With exceptions being anyone we see zombified who was a terrible person before. And we know that. We know they were a terrible person before for one reason or another. I obviously don't feel bad for them. But when we just see any old zombies, especially, you know, on those very rare occasions we see child zombies, which we saw in here, by the way. I am really happy that this show did not hold back on that. Not only just showing the children that Fuko and Shen met being, like, in the process of the curse, but actually showing a child who had already been zombified. Anytime a series, a game, whatever does that, I give massive kudos to it. Because so many zombie shows and whatnot are so blisteringly afraid of showing child zombies. All of these zombies you'll see are always adults. Every time. Because they're so afraid of showing that children can be zombies too. Because it's upsetting. And yes, it's very upsetting. It's supposed to be upsetting. Zombies are not supposed to be happy. It's supposed to be a very, very upsetting situation. The fact that so many of this zombie media avoids child zombies like the plague has never sat right with me. Because it's like there would absolutely be child zombies walking around too. So whenever a piece of media does show that, even if it's just one here and there, like for example, Telltale's slash Skybound's The Walking Dead video game, showed a child zombie at 1 or 2 points here and there. I think actually a couple points throughout the entire series. And it was effective like every time. And so I think it's just something that a lot more zombie media should be willing to do. And I'm not talking like an older teenager, like 16, 17 years old. I'm talking like an actual kid. You know? I feel like just more movies and shows and stuff should do that. And I'm so happy that this one did. And mind you, this is, anime. I feel like they could probably get away with it a little easier because it wasn't live action and stuff. But still, I'm still happy that they showed that. I'm curious, though, as to why kids seem to turn slower. It looks like their numbers are higher once the curse activates. So I'm wondering why that is. Why do they turn slower? Is it an age thing? Or does the curse just affect specifically children differently? I'm really curious. Now, the last thing I really want to touch on here, though, is the UMAs versus negators. So UMAs are, I guess you could say, like demon-like entities. It basically says in this, they're the rules, while negators are vessels for the rules, and the rules are like the powers and whatnot, the abilities that they have. These are just like physical manifestations of the abilities themselves. UMAs are not people, from what I'm gathering from this. They're not people. They're like the book at the Union. The book, it's like a demon. It's like an artifact. It's a living, conscious artifact rather than an actual person. You know what I mean? That's what it seems to be here with UMAs. They seem to be more akin to that. To artifacts, to demons, to whatever you want to call it. And it seems like because of that, their powers work differently. A negator has like something that they have to do to activate it. They have a rule in order to activate their powers. Andy, his powers only activate when he's hurt, when his body is damaged. Shen has to look at people from a certain distance, as he said. Fuko has to touch someone. They have to fulfill a condition in order for their powers to activate. And with UMAs, it seems more like their powers are just activated. And with Spoil specifically, it seems like it's a area of effect kind of thing. It's like, oh, anyone within this area of effect, within this range, gets affected. They get cursed, and once the cursed number reaches 0, they start to decay. It's a really interesting distinction that they're drawing here. I'm really curious as to how much they're going to go into this all. I'm really interested to see that. So, yeah, obviously we're continuing this next episode. I'm very interested to see what they do with it. But in the meantime, tell me in the comments below, what did you think of this episode of Undead Unluck? And as always, no spoilers. I do not want to be spoiled for anything that's going to be revealed in the future, any future events, etc., etc. No spoilers, but I'd love to hear your thoughts on this episode nonetheless. So that all being said, thank you so much for tuning in, and for now, I'm Connie, and I'm signing off. See y'all next time.